question of hate, because the hate meter is all the way into red. Not just out there in the streets, but also on social media. And I'm glad, maybe it's a good thing you're not on Twitter, PLO, because listen to Nelson M.O. Atinga. He says, now the fourth estate is in conspiracy with the government have somehow succeeded in making Raila look like the loser. The hate level in this country.
No, Jeff, the tragedy in this country is that the politicians are informed by ethnicity. All of them. All of them are low-voltage ethnic warlords. And what they do is to marshal their ethnic groups in one direction, and they bring them together. And until the politician in this country is liberated from the chains of ethnicity, you are going to have this kind of thing. What should happen is that the politicians, right from President Kenyatta, through to Deputy President William Ruto, through to all the leaders in the opposition, must call their troops and tell them, stop this. This country is too young to be sacrificed at the altar of ethnicity. And the media must also refuse to give the oxygen of publicity. I was very happy that the media did not air what happened live. It was necessary, because when people have announced that they are going to ensure that the country changes, it was as if there was going to be political Armageddon. You don't know what they are going to say. It is in the interest of the nation that they are denied the oxygen of publicity. And you'd see, when you denied them the oxygen of the publicity, then they are subdued. Because all the things that they are doing are appealing to the base instincts of the ethnicity. So that if you are Luo or Kamba or Luhya and you are reasonable, they say you have been sold out, you are sellout. You are not allowed to be objective. And experience has demonstrated that countries only realize their potential when men and women are judged on the basis of the content of their character rather than by their ethnic extraction.
Whoa. Somebody get me a thesaurus and a dictionary. Good point, PLO. Barrack, what were your thoughts about the blackout, if you will, of the event?
I can speak about the blackout of the event with the full authority of a media professional. And I suppose that when this gentleman talks about the fourth estate, that he's seeing some of us here. And in his parochial mind, he is thinking that you can only open your mouth when somebody has bought you. You see, the media must exercise its rights and freedoms and its space responsibly. When somebody has said that the storms are gathering, when somebody has said that this country is never going to be the same again after this day, and you have been monitoring, and let's accept this thing, that there's been a lot of hate mongering. And this hate mongering has not just been from COD. There have been also some very responsible pronouncements from the Jubilee fraternity. There's some people putting their unprintable things on social media, politicians standing before partisan crowds and making very provocative pronouncements. This country does not require those kinds of politicians, those kinds of leaders, be they from Jubilee, be they from COD. And I think that it's going to be the height of irresponsibility to give that kind of event a wall-to-wall carpet of coverage, so that they are pushing insurrection on live broadcast. It cannot be done like that.
Let me ask you this, PLO, and Barrack makes a good point. Why is it that us Kenyans love, we adore looking over the precipice, looking over the abyss, looking to see what's down there? What is it about us?
You know, God has been very gracious to this country. In 1992, we had tribal clashes. In 1997, we had tribal clashes. And through divine grace, we were saved. In 2007, 2008, we had these dangerous clashes, and we nearly went into the abyss. So there is a sense in which Kenyans think that this is a cakewalk. They think that this is a joke. Let them ask the Rwandese. Let them ask the Ugandans and the Congolese. Then they'll know.
And it's sad, Barrack, because each and every time we are pushing that envelope. We're pushing, and at some point, something's got to give.
I think people have abdicated their responsibility. That when you look at what should be the ethical and moral pillars of society, that they have not been spared this malady of negative ethnicity. And that even when we talk about leadership, we think that there's a certain sense of entitlement, that there's a ship that is going to dock at our harbor of hope, and that harbor of hope must be of an ethnic definition. And so from that platform, you have got leaders who are posturing and mobilizing their ethnic communities, like Professor correctly says, and it's a mobilization that antagonizes everybody else against the community. Now, we must get to a point where we start turning.
Yeah.
We must turn the history and story
Absolutely.
of this country.
Gentlemen, Ikenya Kemu says there are systems set by the Constitution. Does CORD recognize them? Does Khalwale expect a Nixon to happen in Kenya? I guess he means resignation.
You know, Jeff, what I know is that what is happening in Kenya today is what calls for a bipartisan approach. And bipartisan means that parliamentarians sit in the National Assembly, they sit in Senate and identify the issues. Once they have identified the issues, they are discussed, and there are methods that can be used. If you want a parliamentary select committee, it can be appointed. The 47 county governments can also identify these issues. So there are parliamentary avenues that can be used and have been used. In the United States of America, after the 2011 bombing in New York, the Republicans and the Democrats worked together because America was under threat. That is what we must do. And I therefore cannot agree with individuals who enjoy the perks of being parliamentarians, and then they run away from parliament and they want to go outside of parliament and they want to delegitimize those very same institutions. It is confusion which cannot be allowed. This is a young constitution. It is a constitution that must be allowed to grow. The problem that we have now, and it must be stated boldly, is that the primary leaders of CORD are outside of parliament and they do not know how to behave, because since 1992, they have never been outside of parliament. That is the problem.
Yeah.
If they were inside of parliament, they would behave very differently. They want to influence parliament from outside of it, which they can do, because they are leaders of stature. One has been the vice president, the other has been the prime minister. What I would urge them, go and meet President Uhuru Kenyatta, even when he calls it tea. When a leader calls you for tea, he is calling you for discussion. And Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta, if you allow these individuals to talk to you, you will not cease to be the president of the Republic of Kenya. Embrace them, because the nation is bigger than all of them.
No,
sometimes when I hear politicians who claim they have the monopoly of ideas, they think that we have no interest in this country. I have an interest, a selfish interest in this country, for myself, for my children, and for my children's children, and we are not going to keep quiet and watch them mess this country up.
No doubt, no way. And look, listen to more of these folks. Barrack, you're a CORD member. You've said this before on air. You're CORD, but Gideon Wafula says the two opinionated Kenyans are misrepresenting a a process. Balance the bench. So if you're CORD and you criticize CORD,
you see, as I talk, I console myself with the knowledge that there are intelligent people out there watching and listening. But I also know that there are other people who have been trained and thoroughly drilled in schools of ethnic thought. You ask them what CORD is. CORD is an amalgam of ethnic communities. And because I'm Luhya, for example, I'm supposed to follow any moving object, provided that it has got the tag of Luhya on its breast. I'm not going to do that, okay? The thing is that we have got serious issues here. And CORD was almost sinking this country a few days ago. Go to the Central African Republic, where if somebody offended you, you would not even know where to go and start complaining in the first place. This total breakdown in law and order. That you go to DRC, there's much the same thing. You go to Libya, you go to the places that we have been told that there's going to be a Tahrir moment. Look, people should learn to start being responsible. This whole thing that we are calling social media, there's nothing social about it. This is the anti-social media, where young people who have gone to schools where the only thing they seem to teach is invective, and I can't blame them. I can't blame them because it looks like there are no teachers left out there anymore teaching people the art of argument, telling people to shoot down the points that we are raising here, rather than sinking into invective and calling us names, because they should be saying the issues that you are raising are flawed, that a referendum on corruption is possible, that we can phrase a question, do we want corruption or don't we want corruption? Okay? But we are saying that is not a referendum issue.
Correct.
A question of poverty and food, you cannot phrase a referendum question on that, that do we want to afford the cost of living or don't we want? The moment we start doing that, we get somewhere. But the fellows we are having have been schooled in the schools of ethnicity. They have grown up in the village. They have gone to the primary school in the village. From the village, they've gone to the secondary school in the village. They've gone to the village university where they have been taught by village professors. And the whole world around them is a little pond at the back of their mother's house. So that is how they see things. Their minds have not broadened. My mind is broad. I'm able to see when the Jubilee people have a point. And I'm able to see when the Code people have a point. And it's courtesy of the good education that
and
I
exposure.
had. Which,
and exposure.
Which these fellows
Village mentality.
Yes.
Stanley Kamau of Ahadi Trust says it best. We're going to go to break. He says it best. He says, politicians have jiggers in their heads. That's the jigger man saying that. He should know.
Speaks with authority.
Thank you. Gentlemen, we're going to come back, talk about the road ahead. Is it a smooth road? Are there still those potholes on the road? Are there bumps along the road? Let's talk about the road ahead. PLO, Lumumba, Barrack, Muluka. I tell you, you cannot get a better political tag team on television. And it's happening in real time, right here on JKL. And JKL takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.